I was in the middle of a team presentation when my phone buzzed on the table. I glanced down and saw the text from my mother. 4 years of silence, and now this. We need to talk. It's urgent. Your father and I are in serious trouble. My hands started shaking. I couldn't focus on the slides anymore. The last time I saw my mom, she stood in our old driveway and said, "You're on your own now. Don't come crawling back." And now, after everything they'd put me through, they wanted something from me. My name's Isabella. I'm 24. I work as a junior project manager at a tech startup in Seattle, and I'm good at what I do. But 6 years ago, I was nobody. Just a scared kid from a small Midwest town with parents who never really wanted me. They had me when they were 19. Too young, too unprepared. And they made sure I knew it. I wasn't the daughter they'd imagined. I was quiet. I liked books and computers. I spent weekends learning to code instead of going to parties. They wanted someone easy, someone social, someone who didn't remind them of all the things they'd given up. When I turned 18, they sat me down at our kitchen table and told me they were starting fresh, moving to Arizona, without me. My dad said, "You're an adult now. Time to figure things out." My mom hugged me, but it felt empty. She whispered, "Don't make this harder than it is." They left 2 weeks later. Didn't give me their new address. Blocked my number after I called too many times. I stayed behind in that tiny town with a part-time job at a coffee shop and a studio apartment that smelled like mildew. I took classes at community college, applied for every scholarship I could find, taught myself project management through online certifications. It was hard. Some nights I cried so much I thought I'd break, but I didn't. I clawed my way up. Internships, better jobs. Eventually, Seattle. A real career. An apartment that was mine. All mine. For the first time in my life, I was proud of myself. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. I want to hear your story, because I know what it feels like to be invisible to the people who are supposed to love you. That text message sat on my screen for the rest of the meeting. I couldn't stop staring at it. Urgent. Serious trouble. Part of me wanted to delete it and pretend I'd never seen it. But I couldn't. Something about it felt like unfinished business. Like a wound that had never fully healed. After the meeting ended, I went back to my desk. My phone buzzed again. A call this time. My mom's name lit up the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called again. And again. 6 missed calls in an hour. My coworker, Daniel, leaned over. "You okay? You look stressed." "Yeah," I lied. "Just family stuff." At lunch, I sat alone in my car and finally answered. "Bella, sweetheart, we've been trying to reach you." My mom's voice was sugary. Fake. I gripped the steering wheel. "You moved to Arizona and told me not to contact you. What do you want? Don't be like that. We're family. We need help." "Help? Of course. What kind of help?" She hesitated, then the words came rushing out. They were facing eviction. Both of them had lost their jobs. Debt was piling up. They needed me to co-sign a loan, maybe let them stay with me temporarily while they got back on their feet. I sat there in stunned silence. "After everything we gave you," my mom said, her voice trembling, "you can't help us now? You gave me." I felt my throat tighten. "You left me with nothing." My dad's voice cut in. He'd been listening the whole time. "We raised you. You owe us." "Owe them?" I started laughing. Not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd I didn't know how else to react. "You're serious right now? Don't be selfish, Isabella." My mom again, sharper now. "We're your parents." And then she said something that made my blood run cold. "Your family's been asking about you, you know. We had to tell them the truth, that you abandoned us." I froze. What? We didn't want to, she said, and I could hear the manipulation dripping from every word. But when Aunt Diane asked why you never visited, what were we supposed to say? You told them I abandoned you? Well, didn't you? My dad's voice was hard now. You stopped calling. Stopped trying. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. I stopped calling because you blocked my number. We gave you space to grow up. My mom snapped. You're twisting everything. I hung up. I sat there in my car, staring at nothing, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. They'd lied to everyone, painted me as the villain, and my whole family believed it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation in my head. Finally, around midnight, I opened Instagram. I don't use it much, but I still followed a few cousins. That's when I saw the post. My Aunt Diane had shared a photo of a family reunion happening next month. Big backyard barbecue, everyone smiling. The caption said, "Everyone's invited except those who turn their back on family." My stomach twisted. The comments were worse. My cousin Jenna wrote, "Some people forget where they came from." Uncle Rich replied, "Family first, always." Someone else I didn't even recognize added a heart emoji. They were talking about me. I scrolled further back. My grandmother's 80th birthday party. Last year. Photos of the whole family gathered around a cake, laughing. I hadn't been invited. Now I knew why. They all thought I'd abandoned my parents, that I was selfish, ungrateful. The lie had been growing for 4 years and I'd had no idea. I felt sick. The next morning, I woke up to a notification. Someone had added me to the family group chat. I hadn't been in that chat since I was 18. The messages were already flying. Aunt Diane. Isabella, your parents are struggling and you won't even return their calls? Shameful. My chest tightened. I typed back, fingers trembling. They're the ones who left me 4 years ago. I hit send and waited. My dad's response came almost immediately. We gave you space to grow up. You're twisting everything. Uncle Rich. Your mom's been crying every day. What kind of daughter does this? I tried to explain, tried to tell them the truth, but my messages just sat there, ignored. Then my cousin posted a laughing emoji. At my pain, I left the chat, threw my phone across the room, but it didn't stop. 3 days later, I came home from work and found my parents standing in the hallway outside my apartment. They had suitcases. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. My mom smiled like nothing was wrong. "We're family. You can't turn us away." "How did you even get this address?" "Your cousin gave it to us," my dad said. He pushed past me, looking around my apartment. "This is it? With your fancy job? You need to leave." I stood in the doorway, blocking them. "We sacrificed so much for you," my mom said, her eyes already filling with tears. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. "You need to leave," I repeated. My dad's face darkened. "You really are selfish, aren't you? Get out." My mom started crying, loudly, in the hallway where all my neighbors could hear. "Please, Bella, we have nowhere else to go. You made that choice when you left me." My voice cracked, but I didn't back down. My dad stepped closer, his voice low and mean. "You'll regret this. Everyone will know what you really are." The building manager, Mr. Alvarez, opened his door. "Is everything okay out here?" I wanted to disappear. "We're leaving," my dad snapped. He grabbed the suitcases. As they walked toward the elevator, my mom turned back. "Don't come crawling to us when you need something." The elevator doors closed. Mr. Alvarez looked at me with pity. "You good?" "Yeah," I whispered. "I'm fine." I wasn't fine. I went inside, locked the door, and slid down to the floor. But as I sat there shaking, something shifted. What they didn't know was that I'd been preparing for this moment for 2 years. When my parents first left, I saved everything. The voicemail where my mom said, "You're on your own." The text messages where they refused to help with my tuition. The bank records showing they stopped supporting me the day I turned 18. I kept it all. I also kept proof of my own progress. Pay stubs, tax returns, my apartment lease, all in my name. About a year ago, I joined an online support group for estranged adult children. It was full of people like me, people trying to rebuild after their families gave up on them. One of the members was a family lawyer. She gave me free advice, told me about cease and desist letters, about legal protections if my parents ever tried to slander me. I never thought I'd actually need it, but I'd kept her card. They thought I was still that scared 18-year-old girl, crying in a studio apartment that smelled like mildew. They had no idea who I'd become. The next day, I reached out to Monica. Monica was my mentor at work, a senior project manager in her 40s who'd been through something similar with her own family years ago. We'd gotten coffee a few times, and she'd always been kind. We met at a cafe near the office. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her expression serious. When I finished, she set down her cup. "You don't owe them an explanation, but if they're slandering you, you protect yourself." "How?" "I have a friend, a lawyer. Her name's Stephanie. Let me connect you." 2 days later, my parents escalated. They posted on Facebook. Didn't use my name, but the family knew. When your own child refuses to help in your darkest hour, you realize how alone you really are. My Aunt Diane shared it with the caption, "Praying for parents dealing with selfish children." I screenshotted everything. Monica set up a meeting with Stephanie for that Friday. Stephanie was sharp, professional, no nonsense. She reviewed everything I'd saved. "This is good," she said, flipping through the printed messages. "You have a strong case for a cease and desist. If they keep this up, it's defamation." I felt a flicker of hope and terror. What if they don't stop? Then we escalate. But most people back down once they realize you're serious. I left her office feeling stronger, but the fear didn't go away. Because the next day, they called my work. I don't know how they got the number. Maybe from my LinkedIn. Maybe from a relative who found it online. Our receptionist, Kara, intercepted the call. But my boss, Eric, still pulled me aside after lunch. "Everything okay?" he asked gently. "Someone called asking for you. Said it was a family emergency." I wanted to crawl into a hole. "It's complicated," I said. "My parents and I are estranged. They're trying to guilt me into helping them." Eric nodded. "I'm sorry you're dealing with that. If you need time off, let me know." He was kind, supportive, but I still felt exposed, humiliated. That night, I got a message from my grandmother. She was the one person I'd always loved, the one I thought understood me. The message was short. "I'm very disappointed in you." That was it. I stared at those 6 words until they blurred. That was the final straw. I called Stephanie. "I'm ready," I said. "I want to confront them." She advised me to do it privately in a neutral location. Somewhere I could leave if things got bad. I chose a park near the waterfront, public enough to feel safe, quiet enough to talk. I texted my parents. "Meet me at Riverside Park tomorrow at 2 p.m. We need to settle this." My dad responded immediately. Finally. They thought I was giving in. They had no idea. The next day, I got there early, sat on a bench near the water. My hands were shaking, but I had the folder with me, all the evidence, Everything. My parents arrived exactly on time. My mom smiled as she walked over. I knew you'd come around. Family always does. I stood up. I'm not here to help you. I'm here to set the record straight. My dad's face darkened. Watch your tone. No. My voice was steady now. You watch yours. I'm not 18 anymore. I opened the folder and laid the papers on the picnic table between us. This is the voicemail where you told me I was on my own. These are the texts where you refused to help with my tuition. Here's the bank record showing you stopped supporting me the day I turned 18. My mom stared at the papers, her face pale. We were going through a hard time. You moved states and didn't tell me your new address. You blocked my number. You're being dramatic, my dad said, but his voice wavered. I have a lawyer. If you keep lying to our family, I'll send a cease and desist. If you contact my workplace again, I'll file for harassment. My mom's mouth opened, but nothing came out. My dad took a step back. You'd really do that to your own parents? I looked him in the eye. You already did worse to me. I handed them a folder. Inside was a copy of all the evidence, a statement I'd written for the family, explaining the truth, and a letter outlining my boundaries. No contact, no using my name publicly, no more lies. I'm sending this to Grandma, Aunt Diane, and Uncle Rich. They deserve the truth. My mom started crying. Real tears this time. We were just scared. We made mistakes. I was scared too, I said quietly. I was 18 and alone. You don't get to rewrite that. I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard my dad call my name, but I didn't stop. I got in my car, pulled out my phone, and emailed the statement to my grandmother, my aunt, and my uncle. Then I drove home. Over the next week, the responses came in slowly. My grandmother called, crying. I didn't know the whole story. I'm so sorry, Bella. My cousin Jenna sent a text. I'm sorry. I should have asked your side. Aunt Diane didn't respond, but she deleted her Facebook post. Stephanie confirmed that my parents hadn't made any more public posts, no more calls to my work. I blocked them on every platform, changed my phone number, and then, 2 weeks later, something else happened. Eric called me into his office. I thought I was in trouble. Instead, he smiled. We're promoting you to senior project manager. You've earned it. I stared at him, speechless. Monica took me out to celebrate that night. We sat at a rooftop bar. The city lights spread out below us. You stood up for yourself, she said, raising her glass. That takes guts. I clinked my glass against hers. For the first time in years, I felt light. I didn't need my parents' approval. I didn't need their love. I'd built a life without them. A real life. A good life. Later that night, I found an old photo of myself at 18, scared, alone, standing in front of that tiny studio apartment. I set it next to a recent photo of me at work, smiling, confident. Same person, but stronger. For years, I thought their leaving meant I wasn't enough, that I was broken, unlovable, disposable. But the truth was, I was always enough. They just couldn't see it. If you've ever had to stand up to family betrayal, hit subscribe and tell me your story. I know how hard it is to set boundaries with the people who are supposed to protect you, but you deserve better. You always did. Drop your location in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know where you're watching from. And if this story hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. You're not alone, and you're stronger than you think. I'll see you in the next one.